Assalamu alaikum, everybody. This is Imran from ACC, A Continuous Charity. We have a very exciting program today. Stay home and stay creative with a good friend, Ziyad Dadabhoy from the podcast Isn't Mo Muslim Though, and also co-founder of Midwest Muslim United Student Association. Ziyad, how you doing?
Assalamualaikum everyone. How are you, Imran? How's everyone doing?
Walaikum salam, my man. Everything is good. Everyone is well. How's everybody on your side?
No complaints. Just trying to get through, this quarantine.
Working from home, huh?
Yeah, working from home. Actually, the neighborhood we live in, Oak Park, declared a shelter in place starting from tomorrow for 2 weeks. So the village kind of freaked out. A lot of people were questioning them on Facebook, but really what it meant was no public gatherings. Just be smart. If you're going somewhere, make sure you're going because you need to, not because you just want to have fun. So it wasn't as scary as we thought.
So you can still go out, just don't gather in public.
Yeah, basically, if you need to get groceries, if you need to get food, if you need to go see family, you can do all of that, just no public gatherings. So, like all the fun stuff is closed, shopping is closed, libraries closed, parks and stuff are closed, and all the restaurants are takeout, only and stuff like that.
You're wearing a very interesting sweater there. What is that?
This is the hoodie from Miss Chicago. I like to rep the orgs I've been involved in on the. So yeah, they've had some good designers.
Give us a quick rundown. We advertise this as something for college students to stay creative and stay active. So give us a quick rundown of some of the organizations you've worked with that involve working with students.
Yeah, definitely. So, alhamdulillah, I've always been involved a lot with students, ranging from obviously when I was a student, in high school, I was involved with my MSA. I was president for the last 2 years of high school, and then I was going to amidst all 4 years of high school. And then when I graduated and I went to college, I was involved with the, MSA at my college as well. And then alhamdulillah, towards the end of college, I got involved with Miss Chicago in the Chicagoland area. And I was involved with them, pretty actively up until last year. And the only reason I really, took a step back from Miss Chicago was to start the MUSA, the Midwest Muslim United Student Association, which was a regional org to, connect all the college MSAs. So alhamdulillah, I've always been involved with students of some type, whether it be high school, whether it be college students.
Give us a quick rundown for people who are not familiar with MIST. What does MIST do?
Yeah, definitely. So the two orgs, I talked about, the first being MIST. MIST was an organization started back in 2003 in Houston, Texas. As of now, they're in over 15 regions all around the nation, including Canada and the UK. MIST stands for Muslim Interscholastic Tournament, and they basically host weekend tournaments for a region, and then the whole nation, at a national level. More kids can come and compete in Quran and sports, art, writing, knowledge, math, the whole wide range of things that a lot of people are involved in at that high school level. So it kind of gives them an outlet to compete as well as, meet with the other Muslims in their city.
Can you quickly give us some examples of some creative things? Because I actually attended one MIST this last year or 2 years ago, and you were there. And it was a very unique experience. So what are some of the unique elements of MIST?
So one of the things that always drew me to MIST was that it had something for everyone, and you really saw people get creative with the projects that they did. So we have things like 2D art and 3D art. We have things like culinary art. We have extemp speaking, spoken word. So you see a lot of the creativity come out in times like this. Stuff like 3D art, sculptures. For us in Islam, we're not supposed to really sculpt any type of human or any type of living thing. We're not supposed to make any type of idol. And so having 3D sculptures that connect back to a theme, like MIST, we have things like humility, themes like beauty. And so having 3D sculptures that connect to those without just being, people, it's really fascinating to see what the students do. One of them was, I remember a 3D sculpture of the Haram, and the cave of Hira nearby it. And so it was like, how were they able to sculpt that and then also connect that back to the different themes available?
So now that the students are, for the most part, probably home, very unexpected, and for the students who are involved with these student organizations and extracurricular activities, doing creative work, giving back to the community, going through leadership development and whatnot, what advice do you have for them now that they're back at home, or what are some things they can continue to do?
Yeah, definitely. So this is an interesting time, right? There's no rule book for a pandemic. worldwide crisis. There's no protocol. No one's done this before. So I think this is the time where it's not just, an opportunity to be creative, but it's opportunity to be creative in how to be creative and what to do, right? Don't worry about, oh, should I be doing this, or how do I best be, make use of my time. Just try to do stuff, try to be creative in what you do, but there's many different things that you can do. One of the things that my wife and I have kind of sat down and done is make an activity list for the week. Right, a lot of times, a lot of kids are still having their online classes. A lot of people are working from home. Even college kids, a lot of them are working, but also working from home right now and doing online classes. So there's that level of, you have that time of day which is dedicated to school, which is dedicated to your work, which is dedicated to other stuff, but you need to make some type of activity list for the other parts of your day and throughout the week, so that you can plan ahead, whether it be, you want to watch a movie one day, you want to do arts and crafts the next day, you want to write a journal the day after that, right? You want to make an activity list so you remember to do things other than what you're required to do, and then also other than just like, sitting and doing nothing. And so that's really important, to have that kind of, I'd say, structure to being creative, right? Build in that time to work on your art project, build in that time to work on, your latest writing. So that way you give yourself time to breathe and to actually think about what you want to do.
So to some extent, it seems like what you're saying is that it's a time for self-reflection to work on individual projects. But are there any recommendations you have for them to still work collaboratively, digitally, on creative things? And I guess if maybe if you want to preface that with, what are some of the things that the community is doing during this crisis to give back and to create some unique solutions to this problem?
Yeah, definitely. So I think there's lots of opportunities for especially students to really connect and do a lot of good during this time. So one of the organizations that, have been connecting with me is an organization called Believers Bailout. And Believers Bailout are a group of Muslims who are dedicated to helping those in the incarceration, industry, in the prison industry, who are unfairly jailed, and trying to get them out of that industry and back on their feet. And so right now they have a call for art, right? They're looking for people who can paint, who can do some type of art, to submit artwork to showcase, the cause, to showcase Believers Bailout, to showcase what is going on in a way that a lot of people can empathize with. So I think that's something that kids can work together on and try to submit some type of artwork for Believers Bailout, because they're an amazing organization that's doing awesome work, but sometimes it's hard to get across their message and what they can accomplish. And so one of their things is, hey, you might not be able to be involved by like actually going to the prison or, being a lawyer on the case or raising funds, but everyone can, go into their room and then create some piece of art that they can submit for that. Another thing is, there's a lot of local organizations. Look for your local masjid, look for the local organizations that are working on helping the community, and try to see what you can do as a young person. There's a lot of opportunity for young people right now to step up and be leaders in the community and be creative in how they do that. So you hear stories right now of, some 20-year-olds, I believe, they organized over 1,500 volunteers to pass out food to the elderly. So there's a lot of opportunities like that. I know for one in Illinois, there's an organization called the Illinois Muslim Civic Coalition, and they recently started what they call the CARE Coalition, basically organizations coming together to provide or receive help. And so, if you're a young person right now, you can go fill out their form, just search Illinois Muslim Care Coalition on Facebook. They have a group, and you can join them, and then also provide creative opportunities of how we can provide back to the elderly, how we can, make it a system where we can give them help. Because for us, a lot of the young people, they're able to drive around, they're able to do food delivery and food pickup, and they're able to help the elderly in ways that others can't. Because a lot of the elder people, like not just the elderly, but a lot of the people who are older will be working from home from 9 to 5, and they're not going to have that time. So I think definitely for the young people, that's a great opportunity to, get together with your MSA, talk about like, hey, what can we do? Maybe like, me and my MSA, we're going to go work on delivering food in this area. So that way each of the MSAs can make a really big impact in their community.
I mean, I know this is kind of an obvious question with an obvious answer, but why is it important for our youth, our high school and our college students to get involved with such organizations and to give back at a time like this?
I think one of the biggest reasons, obviously, as you said, it might seem obvious on the surface of the question, but it goes much deeper than that, right? It is obvious in the sense of that we should be doing good for our community, that we should be good people and we should be helping out. But right now, we need to overcome that level of fear of, hey, I don't want to leave my apartment. I don't want to leave my house, right? But how do we get past that to enable good, right? So I think one of the things that we got to focus on is that at this time, the youth in our community have a really big chance to put a big impact on their community, to the whole greater community. What I mean by that is that it's not just an impact for the Muslims, it's impact for everyone, right? These care coalition, these organizations that are popping up to help the elderly, we're not just talking about our faith, we're talking about all faiths, we're talking about all people. In a time like this is a time to come together. And so what it really shows is that the MSAs right now, they can really work on showing everyone that, hey, our youth, we care about everyone, right? We don't just care about our own community. We're not just like closed door. We care about everyone and we want to help everyone. So I think that's really important, that like, hey, sometimes we just got to get past that fear right now. You know, you can sanitize your car, you can sanitize everything, wear the mask and gloves, and then go deliver some food. And it doesn't matter who you're delivering it to, right? No matter what faith, no matter what race, we're just trying to help everyone during this crisis. And so it's like going above and beyond that just simple step of, hey, this is what a good person does. So like, hey, these are the exemplar leaders of our community.
So then, more specifically, you gave a few examples of organizations that are helping out right now, and you gave some examples earlier on about personal things that people can do. Their personal reading, their personal growth. Give us some specifics, if you can, in terms of what creative projects students can work on right now,
Yeah,
if you can.
definitely. Yeah, no, for sure. So some of the things that I've been seeing, I reached out to some of the MSAs that are involved in Musa and MIS and asked them, like, hey, what are you guys doing, right? What are the Muslim students in your community doing? How are you guys being creative? So some of the things that I've been hearing are, people are fasting together. So, every Monday, Thursday, they're messaging each other like, hey, are you fasting? Are we going to fast together? And, this is people, they're not even seeing each other, but they're just messaging each other. As well as I've been seeing people do paint nights together. So like paint night through Zoom, right? Like usually paint night, you get into a room and everyone does a paint night. So what I've been seeing is people organizing paint night. So like, someone will lead it through Zoom and then everyone else will kind of just be tuned in and like painting. And so that's a great thing that you can do virtually with your friends, right? Like you guys can all pull up a painting together, call each other, and then just try to like replicate it. So I think that's definitely something that one also will enable a lot of social reach during this time when everyone's kind of locked in their own houses. Do a kind of a virtual paint night, right? Like get someone who knows how to paint to teach y'all, like, just Zoom call one another and then do a virtual paint night. Another thing is kind of just focus on the small things that you can do in your own like time, right? Things like puzzles, writing a journal. If you don't start, if you don't have a journal, start one. Write your daily things, like how are you going through this quarantine? That's going to be definitely something a lot of people will be interested in. Start up a venture that you might not have thought of before, right? Looking maybe if you want to do a podcast, maybe if you want to have a YouTube channel, if you wanted to really get invested in your TikTok channel, like these are things that you have the time to, might as well just like get creative and figure out what are you good at, right? Like, are you good at video? Are you good at audio? Are you good at painting? Are you good at writing? I personally, I think everyone has some type of creativity in them, something that they're good at and that they can be a creator in some way. Even the people who are hardcore STEM people who are like, oh, I just know math, like you can be some type of creative. And I think it's just, you got to have that time to, evolve and got to like really look inside yourself and what you can do. And, what better time than when you're sitting at home all day at this point?
You mentioned a very few interesting points. I mean, a lot of people right now at this time are focusing on the negatives in terms of what is going on, the fear. What are some potential benefits and positives that you see coming out of this crisis?
Yeah, definitely. So I think one of the things, I've been talking a lot with people is how much our, society is going to change because of this COVID-19 pandemic. Like this is a worldwide pandemic that we've never seen before. And so much of, society is going to change and so many people are going to change. And I think definitely during this time, it's like you have the opportunity to learn about yourself in deeper ways. And so it's like when we're looking at what positives can come about this, you can look at the positives for your self-development, right? You can look at how can you develop your time, how can you be efficient, right? Like you can learn more about yourself, you can develop your Quran and reading into your Islamic studies. All the major institutions, they're doing online classes. Most masajid have switched their classes to online and opening it for free. So there's a lot of opportunity to learn a lot more right now. Ranging from Al-Maghrib Institute to Yaqeen Institute to Qalam Institute, they're all having daily or weekly classes that are all online now. So there's a lot of time where you can invest in that Islamic studies aspect. There's also a lot of opportunities and things like on Khan Academy, um, where you can learn about different subjects, and then as well as many virtual, like art and writing classes that people can join. So I think this is a prime opportunity to look at that positive of self growth, right? This is a time when you have opportunity to grow yourself, and so you can look at that positive, like, hey, I have 2 to 3 weeks, maybe more potentially, of time where I'm going to be at home, where there's going to be, maybe some schoolwork to do, maybe some other work to do, but there is going to be a lot of downtime. What self growth can I have? As well as beyond that, the positives we can look to is how is our society going to change for the better. Personally, I think we're going to become a much more hygienic society. I think people are panicking right now and trying to figure out better ways to deal with the coronavirus, but I think post that, a lot of people are going to see the benefits of having a hygienic and clean lifestyle, of having a better life, being healthier in that way. So I think we're going to see a lot of improvements on that end. As well as I think we're going to see a great improvement in the amount of work that can be done remotely. I think remote work is going to really take off, and so a lot of the kids who are soon to graduate, soon to get into the work field, they can really be on top of that. And so when they're entering that work in the future, be like, yeah, I have lots of experience with remote work. I graduated remotely, basically. So I think there's a lot of positives you can take from that.
Do you think people are going to start becoming more conscientious about the environment? I mean, you brought up health, you brought up, communications, working remotely and whatnot, but how do you think this is going to affect the way we deal with the environment? I know it's a random question, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very interesting point, because right now I think a lot of people are focused on the immediate stuff, right? The financial. A lot of people are much more aware of how close people are to being bankrupt, how close people are to not having their next week's paycheck and stuff. So I think right now a lot of people are focused on the financial aspects because of cities being shut down, because of so many people being out of work, so many people having trouble with rent, and the government's putting in so many places on, hey, there's eviction pauses. Hey, we're not going to give out tickets. Hey, we're not going to charge you any fees. We're not going to do this and that, dealing with finance wise. So I think people are becoming much more aware about the financial aspects around them and how much we need change in that and how much we can improve on that. But also we're seeing a lot of changes environmentally just from, a week or two of less human activity. The smog in China has gone down considerably. There's dolphins in Venice, right? Like the canals of Venice have fish and dolphins. Like it's crazy. Before, there's so many people, they wouldn't come. So you see in so many areas around the world, you're hearing these environmental stories of animals returning to the area, of pollution being much less. And I think a lot of the youth at this point are going to see like how much damage humankind does to the area around them and how much we can improve on that. And so whenever we do get back to quote unquote normal, they're going to demand that, hey, we don't go back to that level of normal in the sense of economic damage. That way, if we can, live peacefully with the, animals in our area, then why can't we have dolphins in Venice all the time?
I think that is very spot on, and I'm interested in seeing what the next wave of entrepreneurs is going to do when it comes to communication technologies, environmentalism, our food industry, even the way we look at medicine, telemedicine, and whatnot. And I just think that the points you brought up about Venice, about China, is going to leave a lasting impression in the eyes of the people. And I think we're going to want to see this sustained. So take us home, man. Give us some hope. Give us some places or people to follow online to stay creative and to stay connected with one another.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, inshallah, one of the biggest things that, right now people can look forward to is having that sense of get connected with one another, right? If you want to stay positive, is, we're all going to be at our individual homes and stuff, but don't cut yourself off, right? Like connect with the different organizations around you, find your nearest local masjid, see if they're doing anything online, or find the local nearest masjid to you that is doing anything online, as well as find the local charitable organizations that are doing anything for the elderly and for the most at risk, and see if you can help out. See if they need drivers, see if they need pickup and delivery people, or even donations. See what you can do, and then get your friends involved. Be like, hey, I want to get involved, but I know 10 people who have cars and they're sitting at home. That's a group of 11 of y'all that you can go around helping people. So I think definitely, if you're able to do that, that'd be really good. And then definitely follow Believers Bail Out, right? Definitely follow them during this time right now. The prison people are at most risk. You have a lot of people in a small amount of area. If one person gets corona, the entire prison is going to get corona. So they're really at risk and no one's really thinking about them. So definitely look at Believers Bail Out, and there's call for art submission. So definitely, try to submit any type of art that you can create for them, as well as follow, a continuous charity in Musa at Midwest MSA. Inshallah, we'll have more material for you on how you guys can stay busy during this time and what you guys can do to stay connected as an MSA, as a community, right? Even small things like within the group chat, sharing daily hadith or daily ayah that you can discuss, or sharing lectures from the big organizations like Yaqeen, Qalam, and Al Maghrib that are happening online and watching them together. That's something that you guys can do to stay connected. So don't worry too much about maximizing your time to every minute. Make sure to have those breaks, make sure to take some time to be with yourself, but at the same time don't distance yourself too much. We forget that right now it's not like we have a choice, right? We are kind of in. A lot of people joke about, oh, I could spend the whole weekend watching Netflix, but then at any time in that weekend you have the choice of like going out with your friends. Right now you don't, and so make sure not to cut off that social contact too much. Make sure that you're connected with everyone, inshallah.
Do you know about ACC's t-shirt competition?
No, definitely tell me more about it, man.
So we have a very unique competition for college students and specifically MSAs across the country, where they have a chance to design a winning T-shirt. So we're gonna accept submissions for
Oh,
unique
okay.
T-shirts, and then the winners get a substantial amount of cash money that they can use in their organization. So
Oh, man.
I'm gonna share
Oh,
that with
that's
you.
awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna share that with you, and if you can share that with your base, that would be great.
Yeah, definitely. I'll share with a lot of people. I mean, you can see the Mist has some amazing designers on their team, so I'll definitely share with them as well. I know the college students these days, all of them, they're so creative that, inshallah, if we can get everyone to participate, that'd be really awesome.
And then lastly, I always end these broadcasts explaining a little bit to the audience what ACC does and what it stands for. But in about a minute or two, can you do that? Because you do such a great job at explaining what ACC is.
Yeah, definitely. So, for those who don't know, and for those who may know a little bit, a continuous charity is a nonprofit dedicated to providing interest-free student loans. Right, the interest student loan industry is one of the most dangerous ones out there. It's only behind mortgages and the amount of debt that it has amongst Americans. It's around 1.5 trillion debt. That's all interest student loans, and that's stopping a lot of students from being able to do anything. From being able to get a house, get a car, really do anything with the money that they get from their jobs. So they're not helping the economy in any way. All they're doing is focusing on their loans, and all that interest does is pile up and keep building. So ACC is really dedicated on providing interest-free student loans so that people can get through college without having to worry about that, without having to worry too much about how am I going to pay all this back. Because when they graduate, they pay back that loan without increasing the amount that they have to pay back, and they're not stuck in debt forever. So alhamdulillah, it's an amazing, amazing organization, and I really hope that you guys are able to donate to it and also apply to it, inshallah, in the upcoming year whenever, the applications are open. I know they open, but when is the deadline for them?
Well, I think right now we're probably going to have to reconsider a few things given the current crisis. But
Of course.
people can go to acceducate.org for all of
Mm-hmm.
our updates, and we also have regular webinars and interviews we're going to be doing during this time. So next week we got Habib Qadri, um,
Alhamdulillah, he's amazing.
National Distinguished Principal Award recipient, and we got Sheikh Abdullah Duro of Yaqeen Institute and UU. So we're gonna continue our programming and our continuous education for our students, because we know that since they're home, we want to make sure they get every opportunity possible to continue growing and continue getting nourishment. Yesterday we had the brothers from Saturna Capital talking about
Mm-hmm.
investments, how to be wise with your money during this time. So we want to just continue offering our programs as well. And for anybody who's interested, visit acceducate.org, drop us a message on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll do our best to help you guys out in with whatever needs that you may have.
Yeah, definitely.
But
That sounds like an amazing opportunity, man.
thank you, man. Anything else? Otherwise, we're gonna wrap this up.
No, alhamdulillah, I think that was great. Jazakallah khair for having me.
Yeah,
I think it is a very interesting time that we're in, but I think it's also an opportunity for everyone to kind of reflect on what they're good at and reflect on what things they want to learn and be able to grow in, and just be creative, right? And what we don't mean that in just a sense of like be creative of like let's do some type of creativity, but be creative in the sense of like, hey, try to figure out if there's something that you haven't tried before. Go do it. This is your opportunity, and you might see you're good in something that you never even thought of.
Ziyad, I appreciate it, my brother. Thank you for
No,
giving
definitely.
us time and coming out. And the podcast isn't more Muslim though, right?
Yeah, inshallah. I do have a podcast called Isn't Mo Muslim though, and I think definitely this might be a time where I might reach out and start season 2 with all this, quarantine. I think there's gonna be a lot of interesting stories out there.
I think you should do it, man. So thank you again. And if there's anything ever we can do for you, please let us know, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right then.
Take care, brother. Walaikum salam.